Good morning, Grapes and Peas. Look who's with me today. Which means, guess what? I'm back in Texas. So the last couple weeks I've been in California visiting my family. And now we're home. And we're so thankful to be home. Okay, today's story is from the Gospel Story Bible. Last week's story was from the Jesus Storybook Bible. Both stories are from the Bible. Like if the big, thick one that your mom and dad read with the little words, same one. We're just putting them in a different, using different words and putting pictures in them so that maybe we can understand it a little bit more. They're from the same Bible. We're just different stories, but all the stories we've been working on this summer are stories about Jesus. We've learned that Jesus is a friend to people who don't have any friends. We've learned Jesus is like a father when we run away who longs us to come home. And today we're going to learn another story about Jesus healing people. Do you guys remember another story we did a couple weeks ago about Jesus healing someone? Can you remember? Let's think. He had 4 friends and they brought him in from the roof. So this is another story showing us how Jesus is like a healer. He's not just like a healer. He is a healer. So this is from the book of Luke, which our story last week was from Luke as well. Here we go. As Jesus traveled around and performed signs and wonders and healed the sick. When people heard that Jesus was coming, they gathered on the road ahead and waited for him to arrive. Ooh, who was waiting for Jesus to arrive a couple weeks ago? Zacchaeus was. One day, on his way to Jerusalem, somewhere between Samaria and Galilee, 10 lepers waited outside a village hoping to see Jesus. Leprosy was a terrible, incurable disease back then. Once a person got leprosy, he was required to leave his home and family and live outside the city, away from others. The Jewish law said a leper had to call them unclean, unclean, to warn people who got near him that they had to stay away. Yuck! I wouldn't want that. Thankfully, they found a cure for that today. But back to our story. When the lepers saw Jesus outside the village, they stayed at a distance. But instead of calling out, unclean, unclean, they called out. So instead of calling out unclean like they were supposed to, listen to the way what they called out. They called out, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. Then Jesus saw the lepers and heard their request and said, go, show yourself to the priests. That was what the law told a leper to do if he was healed. If the priest agreed that the leprosy was gone, the person can go back home and be with his family. Oh, that's good news. When the lepers heard Jesus' command, they hoped he had healed them, and they hurried to obey. As they went on their way to the priest, all 10 were healed. How happy they must have been. But do you know what happened next? Only one of them, just one, turned around to thank Jesus for what he had done. The man praised God loudly at the top of his lungs, and when he reached Jesus, he fell at his feet and thanked him over and over. The leper who returned was a Samaritan. A Samaritan was a group of people that Jews didn't like. So Jesus was from the Jewish culture, from Israel, and the Samaritans and the Jews weren't friends. Jews and Samaritans didn't usually like to be together. Jesus looked down at the thankful man and said, didn't I heal 10 lepers? Where are the other 9? Didn't anyone come back to thank God except this foreigner? Then Jesus said to the thankful man, get up and go your way. Your faith has made you well. Were you surprised that the lepers who were Jewish didn't stop to thank Jesus, but the Samaritan leper did? In the end, many Jews rejected Jesus as the Messiah. In this story, the Samaritan who knelt at Jesus' feet got more than his leprosy healed. God touched his heart as well. The other 9 found healing for their leprosy, but this man found Jesus and forgiveness for his sin. Jesus praised him for his faith. You and I might not have leprosy, but our hearts are sick with sin, just like this man's heart and his body was. When Jesus died on the cross, he made a way for all of us to have our sins forgiven. That is something worth thanking God for. Wow. So here's the picture of the man coming back, kneeling down at Jesus' feet and saying thank you. All right. Why do you think the other 9 lepers didn't come back to thank Jesus? Why don't you talk to your parents about that? But I didn't get any Zacchaeus songs and no pictures of a party. So if you think about it from last week, if you want to sing the Zacchaeus song and send me a video, or send me a picture of the party that the father threw for the son that came home, I'd love to see it. All right, guys. Thanks.